Yo, what's up? I don't know what I'm doing in my life properly. Who even knows? I think I am. What's going on, y'all? I'll never get used to technology. I will never get used to how to do Instagram Live. I will never use anything. Wear my sunglasses because it's so early. You know I have bags under my eyes. It's bright outside. All y'all are joining in. I'm wearing a monk shirt, so you should know what's going on. But I have the honor and privilege of chatting with Jay Shetty in just a few moments. So all 4,700 of you need to sit right there. Sit right there. Sit right there. I will send you to your bloody room, okay? Sit right there because Jay is going to join momentarily, and we're going to talk all about the things you need to hear about, y'all. Meditation, mindfulness. It's 2020. Things are rough. Things are anxious. Things are scurry. You want to know how to deal with it? Jay knows. I don't know. Jay probably knows. Jay's in the chat right now. He's going to join momentarily. Jay, if you already requested to join, I'm sorry I missed it, so request again. We're going to talk all about his new book, but honestly, more importantly, Jay's one of my friends that you just feel better after talking to him. So sit tight. Tell your friends to join as well. Holler at them and say, yo, Jay Shetty is doing a live and he's about to solve all our problems right now. So you need to get on Instagram right now because it's 2020 and we won't survive otherwise. That's what y'all need to do right now. Real talk. Thank you so much to everyone joining. All 6,500 of you. Tell your friends, fam. Jay said he requested. Hold down on me. See, Jay knows more than me. Oh, look, you guys ready for Jay? Here we go. The one, the only. Jay Jetty! I'm gonna do this for as long as it takes to connect. Hey, thank you for teaching me how to Instagram Live.
No, thank you for keeping everyone like excited and pumped, and the energy was awesome.
Oh my God, thank you so much for doing this, Jay. This is the first time we've gone live together, which feels like a very wrong thing.
I know, we should be doing this more. You've had so much to celebrate. We should be
Oh
doing.
my God, please don't make this about me. This is what Jay does. He makes it about me. This is about you, my friend. Don't even try to make it about me. This is about you, and this is about this baby of yours right here. Congratulations on your new book. It is called Think Like a Monk, guys. Okay, I'm sure Jay's gonna do many lives, and I'm just gonna spill the tea for you right now, okay? You already know I'm gonna ask the stupid questions. You already know I'm gonna ask the basic hoe questions. You already know I'm gonna ask the Lily and Team Super questions about this book. This is not even just to sell the book. I think you should buy the book, but I want to show you what it's like to have Jay as a friend. Everyone that's watching, the benefit of this book is having Jay as a friend, and I feel very just lucky, like I won the lottery because I'm friends with Jay Shetty, and now when I'm stressed, I can message Jay Shetty, and he goes all what up t-shirt reference on me and fixes my life. So you're going to experience a Jay Shetty effect right now. And I'm so excited for all of you. Are you ready, Jay? Should we get into it? Should I ask you 100 questions that I want to know?
Blushing. This is just like, there's this. Imagine if I could see your eyes right now. I'd just be melted with love. Oh, there we go.
You know what? I'll take them off. It's okay if I have the bags. I want you to. Another reason I have the glasses on is because anytime I think really hard, people make fun of me because I blink a lot. Yeah, and I know you're going to make me think very hard. And the whole live, I'm just going to be like,
wear the glasses. It's sunny and it's hot outside.
Thank you. So I'll take them off occasionally. But I want to dive into this book. So first of all, if you're watching this at home and throughout this live, you're like, oh, this sounds really smart. I should get the book. Jay, where can they get the book? Tell them where to get it.
You can get the book at thinklikeamonkbook.com, and then you'll find a link whichever country you're in, because I know that Lily, your community is like all over the world. So
you see us as brown folk, we think international, fam. Okay, that's how we think. But let's dive in. Okay, I want to ask you some questions. You might have been asked them before, but I just want to ask you some, because you were a monk. I was not a monk. I know nothing about this life, and so I want to ask some just stupid questions.
Yeah.
What if you could summarize like the daily life, just like a quick summary? What does it mean to be a monk in terms of your daily routine?
Okay, so there's nowhere in the book where I recommend you to do any of this that I'm about to say. Everyone knows. So we would wake up at 4 a.m. every day. We'd take a cold shower.
4 a.m. in the morning?
4 a.m. in the morning.
There's a 4 a.m. in the morning now? That's crazy.
4 a.m. in the morning, you have a cold shower, you sleep on a thin mat, and you don't have a bed or a bedroom. You sleep in a room communally with lots of other monks. And what that means is that the only differentiation is that there's a snorer's room and there's a non-snorer's room. I was, of course, in the non-snorer's room.
Of course, of course.
As bedroom like it gets. You wake up at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. collective meditation starts. You meditate till about 5:15 where individual meditation starts. And then 7:15, you have a class on the wisdom scriptures and the text, which runs till about 8:30 a.m. And then you have breakfast. So that's like the morning routine of a monk mixed in with meditation. And then there's yoga thrown in there too. So you've got all of that.
Wow. So wait, here are some questions. They're going to be stupid questions. Do monks connect with like the outside world?
Yes. So after that morning period, usually afternoon, our day would be spent doing service in the world. So whether we were feeding the homeless or feeding young children in India or going out and building a sustainable village, like the rest of the day would all be service-based work. And I know you've done a lot of that stuff with Girl Love and all your work where you've actually been out there. So that was very much what our life
You're right. I'm a monk. You're right. Actually, I forgot. I am also a monk.
You're basically a monk. I mean, you wake up.
Okay, so can I ask you one of the questions when you release the book? Because I already know this book is going to be so full of gems and things that help people. But I want to ask you a very honest question. Because when I think of monk life, I think of life that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think of life that doesn't have the distractions or obstacles that I may have in a day. So in 2020, I'm living here in LA, people watching at home, maybe they're living in some major city as well. You've got social media, you've got your parents, you've got your ex sliding in your DMs, you've got bae that you have a crush on. You have all these things where I'm assuming you don't have those things when you're kind of living monk life. So how can the things you talk about in terms of monk wisdom help in our life when there's all of these other distractions?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So monks realize that most of our distractions, they are external for the modern world, but a lot of the distractions are right inside and in here. And so because monks take time to spend time with their mind, to work on their mindset, to build these habits, it means that if we were to do that, we'd have the skills to overcome all these challenges around us. So I always say to people that you don't have to live like a monk to think like a monk, but monks have practices and habits and tools that scientifically show that monks have the happiest brains on the planet. And so monks have the highest form of gamma waves, getting all scientific and geeky here, but monks have the highest form of gamma waves, which shows that they have the highest form of happiness, presence, and compassion in their brain, which are three things that we need today.
Wait, my mind is blown. Hold on. I didn't know there was any scientific correlation here. So if you had to summarize for me, like when you say think like a monk, what are some of the major pillars or major identifiable ways that monks think? Like what are some, if you could, someone watching right now is like, what are the ways the monks think? What would you tell them?
Yeah, okay. So the first one that I'd say is that monks always try to go to the root of the issue or the root of the pain. So for a lot of us, we get caught up in today's worries, the news today, what's happening right now. And really, there's an underlying feeling of discomfort that we've been dealing with for months and sometimes years that we just don't try and address. And so addressing the root of the issue or the real pain of the issue is a big way of thinking like a monk. The second principle that I'd say for thinking like a monk is starting and thinking about everything through the lens of thankfulness and gratitude. So go big on gratitude. So starting from a position of going, well, how can I find gratitude in this situation? What about this situation can I actually be thankful for? Because even if my life's going in a direction that I don't see, if I can just see the spark of something to be grateful for, that can set me on the right path. And I know you practice that, Lily. So,
I try.
And the third way that I'll share right now for thinking like a monk is someone who's actually taking out time in their life to invest in themselves. You know, so many of us, we set meetings with everyone, we make appointments with everyone, we have Zoom calls with everyone, but most of us don't take out time for ourselves. And thinking like a monk means I'm taking time for me so that I can be more for everyone else.
Now, when you say taking time for yourself, are you referring to meditation or are there different versions of doing that?
There's different versions of doing that. So at the core of it, it means being present with yourself. And what I mean by that is how much time are you getting in to just check in with yourself and be like, how am I feeling today? How am I doing today? How's my day going? What am I missing today? And usually we're trying to take care of everyone else around us. Be like, how are you doing? Like, do you need this? Do you need that? And just checking in with yourself is a good starting point. But meditation and mindfulness are, of course, good practices as well.
I love that. I think that's so important, especially, you know, it's kind of like ironic that I'm on this live and people are just on the live commenting, and we're all like living in this virtual world in this moment. But I think it's so important that we always ask people when we see them, like, hey, how you doing? But do we ever ask ourselves that? Like, are you ever just like, everyone, shh, how are you doing, Lily? Like, are you okay? And I'm not gonna lie, the few times I do that, it makes a huge difference, because it's so important to be your own friend. Like, check in on yourself like you would your best friend. So I love that you said that so much. Okay, so you said getting to the root of the problem, finding the gratitude, and being present with yourself or making time for yourself. So I'm gonna ask you like a very tough question right now. Maybe I think it's tough, maybe you think it's easy. It's 2020. People at home probably have a lot of anxiety. They probably are watching the news. Maybe they're having struggles financially or professionally. Maybe they haven't seen their family in a while. Maybe they've been isolated for a while. How do you think like a monk in this time and situation in 2020? What have you been telling yourself in your mind that's been getting you through this?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of something that was big for me. So when lockdown first came in, mine and my wife Radhi, who's, you know, all of us hang out together.
Shout out Radhi.
So we were, our biggest fear was what if something happens to our parents? Because both of our parents are in London, our sisters are in London, like all of our families in London. We don't know when we're going to get to go back. And so in this book, I talk about something called the fear ladder, or the why ladder, of understanding the root of your fear. So my fear was, what if something happens to my parents? And then I asked myself, I was like, well, what am I really scared of? And I realized what I was really scared of was I may not be able to see them. I may not be able to go back. And then I was like, well, what am I really scared of? And I was like, oh, well, maybe I won't get to spend time with them, or I won't get to like see them this year. And I was like, well, what am I really scared of? And I realized that the root of what I was really scared of is, I don't think I show my family enough love.
Wow. Yo, what? That's so deep. Hold on. I need a moment. How many of you were just like, oh my God, I got slapped in the face? Because this is me right now. I feel like I just got slapped in the face right now by a monk. Okay, well, that's a great... Wait, did you have this realization all mentally, or do you like... Is there... Because I'm a very physical person, so I'm like, is there a way to write it down? Like...
So I'm going to show you.
Okay, please show... Oh my God. We're doing arts and crafts with Jay Shetty right now. Everybody, I'm taking my glasses off for this because this is a moment. But I love this because that's so true. I think... Oh, that's a fear ladder. There you go. Right there. And think like a monk. You want to get to the root of your fear? That is incredible.
Why am I scared of that? 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 And then that takes you to the root, which is the bottom of the ladder, when your worry today was at the top of the ladder. So you want to break it down.
So then when you came to that realization of like, oh, I think I don't spend enough time with my parents, what do you now do with that feeling? Do you now make a... What do you do with that?
So now what you've done is turn your into a useful thing. You can actually do something with it. Like, I can't do anything about the fact that but now I'm like, okay, what's my... Call my parents more. I'm going to message them more. I'm going to send them videos. I'm going to text them more. Like, I'm going to make an effort to organize games night with my family. Like, feeling more connected to my family. And yes, they miss me. And of course I miss them. That's not going away.
Right.
But I feel better about what I'm doing about it. And I think that's what most of us need. It's not really about how we feel. It's about how we feel about what we're doing about an issue.
Right. Wow. I just got slapped in the face 10 times. I have another question for you. You talk a lot about in the book about living intentionally. I know what the word intentional means. I don't understand what it means in the context of that sentence.
Yeah. Okay.
So what does it mean to live intentionally?
So what it means in 2020 is when you find yourself scrolling on social media, or you're just scrolling there and you're flying through, and you check with yourself and you check in with yourself and go, why am I here? And if you can't give yourself a good reason, that is unintentional living. So intentional living means you know why you are where you are and what you're aiming to do there. So that even could be, I'm lying in my garden on the grass because I saw you in your pool yesterday, and it's like, I'm just chilling here because I want to relax. Like, that's intentional living. Intentional living means you know why you're doing something and what you're doing. Unintentional is, oh my gosh, I just wasted like 3 hours not even knowing why I was doing this. And encouraging people to live intentionally is saying, hey, you don't have to do something every second of the day, but have a plan for your day and how you want it to go. So I know that by the mid-afternoon, I get tired. And so I know I need to take a break. I know that I need to eat at a certain time to feel energized. When you start living intentionally, you stop your emotions from taking over you, and you stop your emotions from ruling you, because I don't like who I am when I'm hungry. I don't necessarily vibe with who I am when I haven't drank enough water in a day, or I haven't rested. And so for me, it's so important to make sure I get those right so that I can be the best version of myself.
Wow. So every time we're mindlessly scrolling, because I've noticed I took a little bit of break from social media for a while, and I noticed around me more people that if there's any lull or any bit of silence, whether it's like waiting for an elevator when we used to use those, whether it's like a red light, unfortunately, people automatically start doing this. And I probably used to do that too, but I noticed it more once I stopped having my phone around me. And I was like, wow, I wonder how much time I just did that for so long.
Totally.
And it's crazy. That,
Yeah.
that is, that
I
is,
study actually, you like this, there's studies in the book, and men and women were asked if they wanted to be alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes or they had to give themselves an electric shock if they didn't want to be alone with their thoughts. 30% of women chose an electric shock and
what?
60% of men chose an electric shock.
That is insane. Wow, that is so insane. So you're saying even if you're doing something that is like, because you know me, I'm very, this is really just therapy for me. You know how I'm very productive. I like to be a productive person, and so I like to make a to-do list. I like to work. You're saying that even breaks can be intentional. Even relaxing could be intentional. It can be good for you if you have the intent of doing that thing.
Right, yeah. If you're aware of it and you know when you need it and it's in your calendar and it's in your schedule, you're just saving yourself from having that moment where you feel burnt out or overworked or whatever it may be. And on a deeper level, which you were talking about intention earlier, a deeper level is, do you know why you're doing what you're doing? Like, it's as simple as that. And the reason why intention's so powerful is most people know what they do. Most people know what they do for work. But when we really think about it, what's my intention? What's my reason for doing this? Even for spending time with people, like, you know, I love hanging out with Lily, and as she was saying, we're really good friends. And it's like, but it's like knowing why you like hanging out with someone and what your intention is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have that, it deepens the relationship so much quicker. And you might actually think about this right now and be like, you know, I don't even know why I spend time with that group of people. And that's why when you yourself intention and reasoning, you start to really realize that your life is a choice and you can control how you feel.
Yeah, and that's interesting because then you can discover what the intention is, and then you can decide, is that the intention I want? And maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it is like I need to get forward in my career. I need to do that. So that intention I'm fine with. But at least that gives you the clarity. Wow, that is super, super dope. I've never thought about things that way. Wow. Y'all, I'm thinking like a monk out here. What up, Tisha reference? This is all from Jay's book. If you're just joining, Think Like a Monk is out now. You can go to thinklikeamonkbook.com to get it. I highly recommend, because Jay has positively impacted my life in every possible facet ever in life. So I highly, highly recommend.
I went to show you, Lily, because I think you'll like this. There's lots. I'm also a visual thinker, so there's tons of visual charts and sketches in this book that help you break things down and practical. And another thing that we did, because Lily, I know you were talking about this the other day when it was your birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday again. But you were talking about how to take time to like reflect and mind. So I've added a lot of these try this exercises in the book. So it's super practical. Like, it's a guidebook. Like, you're not going to read it in a day. You're going to use it every single day for a month or more and kind of go through it one step at a time.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you, because I think a lot of people, when they think of like monk life, like they might think it's overwhelming. Like, there's no way I could be a monk or think like a monk or have all these years of wisdom. But this book is for everyone. No, it is a guide for everyone. You don't need to, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't need to have any prior knowledge. I don't think. You just want to be able to better yourself.
Absolutely. The only reason I called it Think Like a Monk is I was given this example that, you know, if you wanted to learn how to be a tennis player, you'd want to learn from Serena Williams. If you wanted to learn how to perform, you might want to learn from Beyonce. And if you want to learn to master the mind, when we're talking about mental well-being, the only people that have dedicated their life to mastering the mind are monks. So the reason why we're trying to think like a monk is because we're trying to go to the people that have deeply, and not just me, I give, you know, I'm giving stories and studies in this book of people who've done this for decades, far longer than I did. And they're real experts in understanding the mind. Literally, the studies show that monks, they did a study on a Tibetan monk, and they did it on 22 other monks as well. And they showed that his ability to flip from thought to thought was like a light switch. Like, he didn't have a break period. There's no warm-up period. And there was another study, seeing as you geeked out on the science a bit earlier, I'll say there was another study that showed these monks who meditated for like, you know, a couple of decades, and people who don't meditate. And it was showing how when monks feel pain, they feel physical pain, but there's no mental pain associated with the physical pain.
Hold on, wait. What do you mean? What do you mean? Talk to me.
A study where this plate, like imagine like a thin plate was heating, and so it heats up and it gets to a really hot temperature. And they had monks who meditate touch it, and people who don't meditate touch it. And the people who don't meditate, when they felt pain, they felt the physical burn, and they associated more mental anguish to that pain. Whereas the monks only had physical pain registered. They felt no emotional or mental pain to that pain. And so it shows us that there's two types of pain. We all experience physical and mental pain. And sometimes we internalize. It's like a breakup, right? Mm-hmm. We internalize a breakup, and now we're just creating more mental pain for ourselves.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
I hope that makes sense.
What the heck? Why are we not all monks? Okay, this is another thing I want to talk to my audience. If you guys are watching this, can I just be real with you for a second? I'm going to say something very, very honest. Okay, I'm a big believer of be selective of who you take your advice from, right? And Jay said it himself. If you want to learn tennis, you go to Serena Williams. You know what I mean? Like, not all of us have the opportunity to go to Serena Williams and ask for tennis lessons. But the point is that I feel so often when it comes to relationships, or it comes to mindfulness, or just advice in general about how to be happy and how to be fulfilled, we take advice from everywhere. We'll go on Tumblr and we'll read quotes, we'll read people Instagram captions. Whereas I really believe like this is someone who has spent years of life and life dedicated to understanding this and knowing this. And so aside from me just Jay being my friend and me wanting his book to do well, like that's why I think people should get this book. It's because we openly take advice. When we get a breakup, you call up your random friend who also hasn't had a good relationship. You're like, yo, Bobby, can you give me some advice on how to be happy? And Bobby's sitting effing there in his parents' basement on his fourth breakup, not knowing goddamn nothing about anything. And you're like, yo, Bobby, tell me what to do, Bobby. What you should be doing is reading Jay's book, because Jay knows what to do. Like, that's just the honest assessment of what this is. Okay, I want to ask you another deep question, because just like how we were talking about intentional living, I truthfully don't understand this. You talk a lot about having a healthy ego. For me, I understand what the word healthy means. I don't understand how healthy and ego correlate. So school me.
Yeah, no, good question. And by the way, Lily, you think like a monk in so many ways of your life.
Really? Thank you.
I think we've it's like I think you bring out the inner child in me in so many ways. Because I love being around people that allow me to completely let go and be myself. But you think like a monk in so many ways. When you tell me some of your habits, I'm like, oh, that is so monk. Like, you know.
Yes. Monk tendencies.
But healthy ego. So in the text that monks study, ego is talked about like false ego and real ego. And ego is really tricky, because what ego makes you do is it either makes you think you're the best, or it makes you think you're the worst. So ego is both of them. So you usually call it low self-esteem, but it's ego. Ego wants to be the best of the best or the worst of the worst. So it's either like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the boss, I'm the arrogant person, right? Which we all notice and we observe in people. But the opposite is like, oh, I've got the worst life. Like, my life's the worst. Like, there's no one who has it worse than me. Mm-hmm. Healthy ego means I actually understand what my strengths and weaknesses are in a healthy way. I understand I'm really good at some things, but I'm not so good at other things. And that's fine. I don't have to be great at everything. Whereas unhealthy ego is I'm the best or I'm the worst. And none of those are true. Like, that's not true for any of us. And what you were saying, like going to people who have the insights and expertise, every single one of us has a talent and has a genius and has an intelligence. And the problem is we keep thinking we have to be everyone else. So there's this great quote that really sums it up well by Albert Einstein, where he said that everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it's stupid. So literally, we're like birds trying to be lions, we're lions trying to be giraffes, we're giraffes trying to be zebras, we're zebras trying to be whatever. And it's like, if a bird, imagine a bird can fly all over the world, but it's like, oh, I really want to be a lion. And it's like, what a waste of its abilities.
Right. So you're basically saying a healthy ego is one that doesn't have to be on either extreme. It can understand the balance in the middle. Are there any practical ways to try to achieve a healthier ego?
Yeah, absolutely. The first one is to really have a diligent and deep understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. So being okay with literally going, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And now let me really honor these strengths and get really good at them. So let me practice those more.
And I'm also just going to pause you to say, if you're at home singing right now, like, I don't have any strengths, you're wrong. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has weaknesses. So don't be watching this live right now being like, oh, I don't have any strengths. You're lying to yourself. Figure out your strengths and weaknesses.
And a great way to find out your strengths, if you don't know them, is you can ask a friend, a colleague, and a family member and say, don't ask them what's my strengths, because that's a bad question. Ask them, when have I shown you that I have a certain ability, or when have you seen me excel, or when have you seen me do something that you remember? And they may say, oh yeah, 3 years ago, you organized that amazing birthday party and it was so well organized and the decor was amazing. Your skill is organization, right? So it's not always as obvious as, oh, you're really good at Excel spreadsheets or PowerPoint. It's not like that.
Right.
That's one thing, is knowing your strengths and weaknesses. The second thing is making sure that you look at other people who have their strengths and weaknesses, and you appreciate their strengths and how they complement your weaknesses. And you appreciate how your strengths complement other people. So I love learning tons of stuff from Lily, and she's been talking about how I'm helping her, but I learned tons of stuff from her just by observing her, just by talking, just by hearing from her. When you start learning from each other in your friend groups, you start to see how much you have to offer and how much other people have to offer you as well. So try and create more relationships in your life where it feels like a trade and an exchange of love and of support. And another practical way of having a healthy ego, which I really find, is put yourself up against your next goal. So we like to compare ourselves, and it's hard to remove comparison, but you can compare yourself to your next goal rather than comparing yourself to someone else or someone else's goal. When you compare yourself to someone else or someone else's goal, that's when you feel behind and you feel stuck. But when you compare yourself to your own goal, you feel inspired and you go, okay, I know where I need to go. And so you're just looking directly rather than looking at everyone else's goal and direction.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So what do you mean when you say looking at your goal? You mean like if my goal is, I want to produce a film.
Yeah.
What you're basically saying is like I shouldn't look at anyone else's film. I shouldn't look at what other actresses are doing. I shouldn't look at what other production companies are doing.
No, you can. You can research and learn from everything. But you don't want to compare where you are to making a film to someone else's journey. Like you don't want to get lost in that, like, oh my gosh, like, I haven't done it yet, and they did it 3 years ago, and they're already doing it, and why haven't? That's wasted energy. You know that. I know that.
Right.
Ego is saying, let me actually focus on my goal and let me learn and research and gain from everyone, but let me not sit here and waste energy on just comparing where we're at and where the other person's going.
Right. We're going to go a few minutes long, Jay. Is that okay? Because I'm really deep into this conversation. Great. So you have to cancel whatever your plans are right now. Okay. I'm going to spill the tea with this question. Okay. I'm going to spill the serious tea, ask you a very honest question. When you were a monk for how many years?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. Are monks, well, and I don't know if the terminology practicing monk is the right terminology, but I mean, when you were living in, it was India, right?
Yeah.
Are monks allowed to be in relationships?
No. So
okay. Romantic relationships, no, right?
I was celibate for 3 years, so no.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask you, why would a monk then be good at giving relationship advice?
Great question. So,
because are you Bobby on the phone with a relationship? Are you Bobby? Like, I need to know. Why would you have good relationship advice?
So 99% of people that become monks in today's world, at least, were not born monks. So me, I've been dating since I was 14 till I was 22 when I became a monk. And then since I left being a monk, the only person I've ever been with is my wife now, Radhi. And so, from 14, when I started dating, I think I was 14 when I first went out on a date, till like 22, I was dating the whole time. And so, I've had a lot of failed relationships. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've wasted a lot of time, money, and energy. And I've probably done I've hurt people too, and I've been hurt too. So there's a lot of that there. The interesting thing where monks try and advise in relationships is from the perspective of a relationship with yourself. And that actually is the foundation of any other relationship in the world. So whether you want to be a monk or not, or whether you want to be married or not, if you don't really understand, if you don't have self-awareness, if you don't know what's important to you, who you want to be in a relationship, how you want to grow, the kind of person that would complement that, then that's the relationship advice of like how to date and who to meet. That's all secondary. And so monks, the only part of relationships that monks wouldn't tell you where to go on a date or how to go on a date because they don't know how to. not a monk anymore, and I haven't been for most of my life.
Jay's like, let me just clarify. I know exactly what to do on a date now. I just want to clarify.
And I made mistakes too. Me and Radhi talk about that. Like, I read Radhi completely wrong when we dated. I thought she was really into like this bougie experience, and I had the movie version of what I thought women liked based on what I see in media and movies. And so I tried to do that for Radhi, and Radhi was like, we could have just gone down a grocery store aisle and bought some bread, and that would have been better than this fancy restaurant. Anyway, the point being that monks are only advising on that relationship with yourself as the primary step for actually getting into a relationship.
Wow. Okay. So you're not Bobby on the phone. You hear that? Good
No.
relationship advice is coming from Think Like a Monk. I have one last question, but in case you're just joining, Think Like a Monk is out by Jay. Jay's incredible, as you've probably seen from this live as well. He just has ideas and thoughts that I have never occurred to me and never probably would have occurred to me. And they're practical. It's a practical guide on how to just legitimately think like a monk. Like, you have to have no prior wisdom. So Think Like a Monk book.com if you want to get your copy, or also just gift it to someone. Yo, we all know that friend where you're like, yo, you could use some help. Give them this book. Give this book to that friend. I know many friends where I'm just gonna, this is gonna be my passive aggressive gesture where I'm like, you need this book, here you go. Like, yeah. This is okay. Here's my last question. I think it's a very timely question because, you know, we're living in a year, and I don't want to make this all about 2020 because I think this book will be relevant beyond 2020 and has also been relevant in the past. I think it's timeless. But, you know, we are living in a moment where unity is very important. Being there for people is very important. We've seen people go through a lot of things, whether it's being sick or losing family, or even there's wildfires, especially living here in California. So unity is very important. And you talk a lot about service, and you say service is the ultimate hack. And so I want to finish off on this note. Why do you say that? Can you explain why service is a hack? Why would you describe it as a hack?
Yeah. So there's a beautiful thought that I've had many times, and you think about it. It's like, as children, we're wired for service, and generosity, but we're educated for greed. And so it's like, you know, if you look at a young child, there's a lot of that love and natural compassion and sharing and giving, and then kids get possessive and ownership, and all of that starts kicking in. And so what we realize is that we're wired for service, like we're wired to give. And if you look at all of us, we're really happy getting, but we're so much happier when we're being generous and serving. And if you've never gone out there and try to help someone else, you'll find that not only do you get a greater joy from giving, but it helps you get so much more perspective and gratitude. So service is the biggest hack, because the one act of service gives you so many other gifts. So the first thing service gives you is it gives you gratitude, because you realize, wow, there's someone who has less than me and I have so much, right? And when you recognize that, you're just like, oh, wow, you start to realize. I remember when I used to take these retreats to India, and one of the gentlemen that I took, he brought his 13 and 14-year-old child. And he said that after that trip, the kids, when they came back to their home in London, they literally felt like they lived in a castle. They just completely changed their perspective on what they had. And so that's the first gift of service. That's why it's a hack. The second gift of service is that it gives you perspective. It helps you understand the world in a deeper way. And the third most important one is it gives you a relationship. When you serve someone, it's not like, oh, I served you, bye-bye. You actually build up a bond and a relationship with that person forever. And so service just has so many other gifts, and that's why it's the hack and the ultimate hack, because it comes with so many other principles inside it.
I love that so much. So I also just feel like it's important to acknowledge that, like, doing service unto others does make you feel good, and it's okay to embrace that selfish quality of that. Like, if this also will make you feel good, it'll make me feel good. There's nothing wrong with that. It is true. When you do something good for someone, you feel so good, and we should embrace that more. We should be feeling good like that more, as opposed to feeling good because we, like, posted a dope selfie or, like, you know, got a lot of likes. Like, that's the reason we should be feeling good. So I love that so much. I lied. That's my second last question. I have one more question, and it's nothing to do with your book. Well, it might be part of your book, but it's more so to do with you as a human. So both of you watching at home, Jay is one of my only friends who identifies as a man who openly says he loves people. And we were talking about this the other day when we were playing basketball. My healthy ego is going to avoid telling you that we beat Jay because I have a healthy ego. Okay.
You just told everyone that.
I know.
You just told everyone.
I know.
And you didn't tell them that I was injured.
Okay, I'm a work in progress, Jay. So when I was talking to Jay, and I was pointing out to all my friends that Jay and I don't want to generalize because everyone's different, but a lot of my friends who identify as boys are hesitant to say I love you to girls that they're not in or anyone for that fact, whether it's their other friends or family. But Jay is someone who, if we're finished talking on the phone, or if we're texting, he'll go, okay, like, I love you, so nice seeing you. And he's one of the only people I've ever met that has explained that to me. Is that a choice? Explain that to me, why? Because I think it's wonderful, and I think more people should do it. I think more people should point out the positive emotions they have and the positive relations they have than always, because we so freely say something is annoying, and we so freely are like, that's irritating, that's, I don't like that, but we so hesitantly say like, I love you, or I love spending time with you. And so like, what is that choice that you make, and how do you do that? I just want to pick your brain.
I think for me, you know, and it's when we, and I think, I mean, we're both speaking totally off the cuff here, and I like that, and we should do this more, Lily, because I benefit from the fact that we're friends, but we get what we're trying to do, and it's useful having these conversations. So when I first met Lily, I only knew her from her online presence, and I really vibed with her online presence. And so when I reached out to her team, I was just like, I think we'll get along, but I don't know yet. And that was my honest thing. Like, I think I'd love to meet Lily because I think I love her energy and I'd love to get to know her. And I was just being honest then. And then since we've spent time together and I've got to know her and her friends and everyone like that, we can see that it was true. But I feel like life's too short to not tell people how you actually feel. And that's the key part, that it's genuine. Because I'd rather be genuine and have someone think it's weird and push back so that I know that there's no point in me giving them that energy anymore. Or say it and you actually realize this bond just went so much deeper. And so for me, I'd rather live a truly genuine life where I say how I feel, I'm honest about it, I'm not scared about being rejected or scared of being told that I'm weird. Because if someone thinks that's weird, then why do I want to love someone or be around people who think I'm weird for telling them that they're good people? And so it just clarifies life. It makes it so easy. I want to be around people that I can tell them how I feel about them. Because if I can't, then that doesn't feel like a real relationship to me. So to me, it just takes out the complications in relationships. Because I'm telling someone how I expect myself to behave and how they can see I'm going to behave. And then they can honestly tell me whether they like it or not. And Lily, when she said that to me the other day, she was like, oh, Jay, yeah, you're one of my only guy friends that says this. I was like, oh, Lily really appreciates that. And actually, I'll be honest with you, Lily, I didn't even know that you liked it or appreciated it.
I do. I think it's so great. I think when you love people, you should tell them.
Yeah, when I said that to me, I felt permission to be more that with you. And that's the other thing. If someone's doing something good to you, tell them, because then you give them permission to do more of it. And I want to show you a last sketch in the book because you brought it up.
Yes, please.
In here that really explains this well. 1 second, where is it?
Oh my God, guys, I gotta tell you, this morning I was like, I'm so tired and getting enough sleep, but what if I'm cranky? And this whole conversation has completely healed me. So I can't even imagine what your book is gonna do to my life.
So this is called The Circle of Love. And what it shows is that we always try and get attention from people, but we don't realize that there's other people giving attention to us. And so we're always in this circle of like chasing someone else's attention and someone else's time and someone else's energy, not realizing that there's tons of people in our life that are giving us energy. And the reason I bring that up is take a moment to just stop and go, who in my life is giving me love? And go and say thank you to them and tell them and say, like what Lily did to me the other day. She was like, I really like it when you say, I love you, or you have that ability to say that. And I was like, great, I can say more of that to Lily now because she's given me permission. And it gives the other person a great feeling too when you notice it.
Clear communication, man. Clear communication. We love it.
Take it away.
Jay, you are incredible. If you're watching this and you're shook and you felt like you got slapped in the face 10 times like I have, you need to go and get your copy of Think Like a Monk. Think Like a Monk book is where you can get it. And like I said, I genuinely also believe it makes a great gift for people, because the greatest gift you can give people is clarity. And I do think this book gives a lot of that. So Jay, thank you so much for taking your time to be on my live. And just dropping some wisdom. I'm about to go live the best day of my life right now, just thinking like a monk. I cannot wait.
I know getting a bad night's sleep or having a time, that's hard. So I'm glad. Thank you for doing this. You're the best.
Of course. This is where me and Jay are going to spend 2 minutes saying thank you to each other, just so everybody knows. Just so everybody knows this is how we end all of our conversations.
To know that you're a real friend, because I think it's really important. Like, you know, this is, Lily's doing this because we're real friends. She wants to support. She's helping me out. This is what real friends do. Like, you know, and I asked her and I was like, would you mind doing this? And she was like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, that's a real friend. She's busy. She's got a ton of stuff going on. You all know that. And so I appreciate you taking out time. And we need to do this for more stuff. Like, we need to do.
Absolutely. We're going to have to make a schedule where we have these lives, and or just even off Instagram, we'll do a mix of them. But like, it's so good for the soul. But thank you so much. Guys, have the best day ever if you're watching at home. Think like a monk. Reflect on some of the things we talked about. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. A fantastic J. I hope you have a fantastic J. Wow. Jay, put it on a t-shirt if you haven't already. Put it on a t-shirt. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm going to take 20 awkward seconds to figure out how to end this. Bye.
Bye.